Reforged Gaming made this video where he titled Xbox Next Gen is not a console. Now, this is very important to highlight. As much as I've steered clear of doing any videos that have pretty much come from Reforged Gaming's channel, I think this one is in contrast to the reality. We've always known, those of us who actually like to engage in technological discussions, looking and doing or engaging in deep dives, we've known that a console is a limited access PC. In fact, one of the most shocking things was Digital Foundry having got their hands on the exact same chip that was used to make the Xbox Series X, and that chip was then converted to a desktop kit that was then sold commercially in China. It was the craziest thing. And so when they got their hands on it, it was to me, it really did go ahead and kind of unveil that this whole thing is not as, many people will have pretty much considered it to be, that there's much more behind this whole thing. They even went ahead and did, a huge expose on it. They showed the internal components, even showing the internal components of the Xbox Series X version of this particular desktop kit, as well as the PlayStation 5 version, which you can see one on the left, one on the right for the PS5 board, which is the 4700S. And then in the case of the Xbox, the 4800S, these are AMD devices that were converted basically because for some strange reason, there were maybe some defects that didn't render the board 100% useless. So when I look at a video like this that says that Xbox Next Gen is not a console because it's going to have Windows as an operating system, I can confidently say that this stems from an area that is not considering the material fact that a console is actually a PC that's limited to just focus on games. Inherently, it doesn't change that the console is a PC. It just changes that the functionality is not as broad as that of a general use PC. So let's go ahead and listen to a little bit of this video. I listened to just a bit of it, and I already could see flaws. And I will then go ahead and even contrast it against Satya Nadella's statement as to this particular paradigm. So let me hear this out.
Sounds like the next Xbox is not a console, and that is a good thing.
No, your assessment is already flawed. You don't get to define what a console is. When Asus made their first ROG Ally devices, they called them handheld console PCs because within the console or within the device, they installed and added a layer that allowed for you to focus on just video games alone. They called that layer Armory Crate. Armory Crate was designed to go ahead and allow for you to simply just use the video games or just use the stores, like an entire interface, as you guys can see on my setup of my Asus ROG Ally X. And so we'll now go ahead and see what Satya Nadella actually contrasts this thing, especially when there are these misconceptions out here. Because again, this is something that people need to know, especially now that many are healing from the console wars that have pretty much gone ahead to sporadically infect minds and give them what I think is just a wrong information. And I have Microsoft to also blame for that because they felt it was easy to make money by cutting this thing down and explaining it in a very simple way without putting the complexities out there. And so people don't necessarily know otherwise.
Yeah. We're going to be everywhere in every platform. So we want to make sure whether it's consoles, whether it's the PC, whether it's mobile, whether it's cloud gaming, we want to, or the TV. So we just want to make sure the games are being enjoyed by gamers everywhere. Second, we also want to do innovative work in the system side on the console and on the PC. And bring, it's kind of funny that, people think about the console, PC as two different things. We built the console because we wanted to build a better PC, which could then perform for gaming.
That's it. It's a branch of the device itself. So when you say that a console is not, because the device has Windows, therefore it's not a console, you're pretty much, in my opinion, mistaken. And factually, you're also mistaken, as if the manufacturer of the device decides that they want to pretty much give it console-like features or features that pretty much limit to a specific use, like Armory Crate or Xbox full screen experience, or basically just locking the entire operating system down, or whatever the heck it is y'all want to call it, right? If they decide that that's what they want to do, then it's their prerogative. And yes, it will be a console because it can actually do that, and then at the same time go ahead and do PC, or carry out general computing tasks. So again, when I revisit this video and just even seconds into it, I already see flaws in the thinking, already knowing what it is that we know.
Promise this is not a negative video, especially after I was very critical of the lead up to the Xbox ROG Ally X and how it was marketed.
Your criticisms, they fell on deaf ears for the most part because you were criticizing factual information, as I've already shown, and as we all already know, including Digital Foundry themselves, which was very shocking that they were considering this Xbox ROG Ally X as, oh, well, it's not an Xbox and blah, 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 when you could have used their own videos to make a very similar case, as they had the board that the PlayStation 5 was built off of. So basically, this technology is the tree, while the PS5 is a branch on the tree. So it's just like saying an olive branch on an olive, plant or tree is not an olive branch because it branches away from the tree and is not a leaf or something weird like that. I mean, I know I'm just trying to put an analogy, but as they are from the same cloth, you understand what I mean? It's not going to be something that's out of the ordinary to go ahead and make such comparisons.
Because if everything we're hearing is true, then this new console, the next one, will actually not be a console. And
again, you are wrong. It will be a console if they call it a console. And Satya Nadella is already calling it a console. He's looking forward to it and has explained to you that a console is a PC set up specifically for gaming to deliver that specific use case. That's all it is. And so anybody that thinks that it's because a console must have that limited use that makes it a console is absolutely wrong, as that use case that you're saying a console need to have, you can actually implement that use case at your own whim. So you being able to implement it at your own whim versus Sony or Microsoft implementing it for you does not fundamentally make it not a console. Does that make sense? Because I can fire up Steam Big Picture mode and leave an entire PC to only sit on Big Picture mode whenever I want to use it, or do full screen experience on a desktop, and that desktop is never used for anything else other than gaming, and it will be my own console. Like the Turk, he is working on the Turk box right now, which will be a dedicated console PC of his choosing, as he wants to use it to do whatever the flip he wants to use it to do. Are we tracking, ladies and gentlemen? Are we tracking?
at some level, it could be the best Xbox that they've ever made. So you're not going to hear me taking issue with calling the next Xbox an Xbox. But this future could come with its own monkey's paw after the company has made such strong efforts to call everything an Xbox.
That's marketing. You all need to go ahead and admit to yourselves that you understand and you can dissect that. In this particular case, you're talking about Xbox hardware. The Xbox marketing, this is an Xbox. You know that it's actually software marketing. I don't know why you all want to go ahead and just continue to do this. Well, if they've called everything an Xbox, it's just a sleight of hand that no one is. It's like you're trying to basically be a street hustler with the cards, and everybody can literally just see that, you know, you're just trying. No, this is why nobody wants to watch these videos anymore. This is why these videos have now become clips all over the place. Tell your audience the truth. Tell them what it is that we know. Treat them like they are adults and can actually parse information and differentiate between a marketing ploy and also a hardware device. Multiple things can be true, but in marketing, there's always that fun play that goes with all kinds of things. Goodness, it's like saying that Allstate is the mayhem insurance company that will always cause you mayhem because they have a mayhem ad. This is just wild to me. I don't know, guys. What are we doing here?
Now, before I can get to what I think is the most exciting part about this, I want to speak to some of the mistakes I feel like people are making. You are going to see headlines and videos already at this point where they're focusing on the fact that the next Xbox is going to be able to do two things. One of those things is play PlayStation games, and the other is play World of Warcraft. Now, I don't feel like either of these things are that exciting or that alarming, because
there's also the part where, and I'm sure it's probably going to get to, I don't think I'll make it that far into the video, but there's also the part where they're saying it's going to play the Xbox games. But how about the fact that there always has been emulation to play all these games? Imagine if somebody made an emulation machine out of a PC, and that's all they did with that PC. It's just basically an emulation machine, and they called it a console. They called it the Emu box. As to trying to get it legal and all, that's going to be a massive, massive challenge for you. But again, they've limited its use case to be able to do that. I don't think a lot of people really understand the concept of the freedom of having your hardware and software be able to do whatever the flip you want it to do. You can build an Ubuntu server and call it my Ubuntu server. No one's going to yell at you that it's not your own server. You can call it my server, and everybody be like, it is your server. It could be running on Linux. It could be running or any of the Linux distros that you wanted to use, or Linux server-based solutions that you wanted to use. But no one's gonna say it's not yours. It's the flexibility in software that I think is missing from all this stuff, from a conversation or conversations where we talk about software. Isn't it wild?
because we've known for a while that a PC hybrid was coming. Accessing Steam on a PC handheld or this hybrid isn't exactly a new thing. Right now, if you would like to access Steam games in your living room and play those PlayStation games that have been ported, or if you want to play World of Warcraft in your living room, you can do that. Now, granted, it's not as streamlined, it's not as simplistic, and not everybody wants to put a PC in their living room.
I did.
But you can do that right now. And that touches on another aspect of this. Like,
why does it seem like the criteria or criterion for Xbox to innovate within its hardware or its own space is that it has to be new and can't be done anywhere else? Right? Does that, are y'all hearing this undertone? Oh, in order for, this to be thing, and I saw people say that, well, the Xbox, the ROG Ally and the ROG Ally X can already do what the Xbox ROG Ally and the Xbox ROG Ally X is supposed to do. Okay. Those of you that are in PC hardware, that have used PC hardware of different flavors, that statement, doesn't it sound wild to you? Like, okay, I know that the freaking, I know that the AMD GPU can capture, videos on the fly. And then you go and say, oh, well, NVIDIA's been doing it with shadow play for a long time. Okay, this is one of those deep, conversations, like with a lot of inside jokes and crap, right? Some of you might be like, what? But I mean, if you know what I mean, remember shadow play? You remember AMD's Relive and how janky it was at first, and it couldn't really do a lot of what shadow play could do. Now it does it so well. Right, it even almost puts it, and NVIDIA doesn't really call it shadow play at this moment in time. Just call it like, game capture and all that. But just because something is not new and has already been done doesn't mean you can't innovate within that space and implement that technology. Again, this might be some of the ails of the bad marketing that has been done by the console manufacturers to make people think that, the ecosystem as it is was somewhat the best thing that could be offered out there.
The price point of this device, from what we're hearing, is going to be around $1,200. Well, that's a very different purchase. You're basically buying a PC.
Forget price. Don't worry about price for now. If that's the case, y'all go build a PC. I have guides for you guys. $600 PC, $750, $800. And I haven't done anything more than $850 because I'm not interested in asking you to go spend $1,000. I just want to show you the options. I have had people ask me, oh, hey, I want to build a $3,000 build, bro. And I've sent them a PC part picker list and they went and built it, but that's not everybody's interest. And I wouldn't even recommend it. You know what I mean? Like I game on a PC that was built for around $700, and then I added some old parts in there that have basically increased the monetary pricing. But I wouldn't ask you to do that because those were production gear for making YouTube videos, doing game development stuff, and all that, right? So yeah.
PC. So you're not really marketing a console that can now suddenly access PlayStation games and Steam games. You're marketing a PC.
And you can choose to call it a console should you want to do so, because it's within your right as a manufacturer to do the same thing. Mr. Reforge, you went through this with the Xbox ROG Ally and the Xbox ROG Ally X, and now there's already established pattern between these devices that a manufacturer can call them what they want. So I know that this video is basically going to be a back and forth and roundabout about, oh, how it's not really a PC because, how it's not really a console because it's a PC and because it's not new. And these old arguments that don't make any sense, that always fall apart. Because in the PC world, right? In the PC world, we literally have, companies implement old technology under their own little umbrella, and we're like excited for them because we're getting more options. It's like, when DLSS and FSR were like going back and forth, right? And FSR hadn't necessarily achieved frame gen and all that stuff. And then FSR and then FSR and then AMD achieved frame gen, and we're like, yay, good for AMD. We didn't jump out there. I mean, it wasn't like this, well, it's not new, so blah, blah. We didn't come out with that particular framework. We ensured that we were able to, go ahead and understand what was being provided. But again, I digress. I think this kind of a conversation is going to just lead to nowhere, but I decided, you know what? Let's go ahead and hear from the experts, Digital Foundry, Satya Nadella, and the established knowledge base that's always been there. And I know most people from the console side, you've said all these things and blah, 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 blah. But then you forgot that it was Microsoft, the entire computer company that built your console. And, you didn't ask them, where'd you get it from? Thank you for watching. Talk to me in the comment section. I appreciate your time and audience. And you can go watch Reforge's video if you choose to. The title of the video is, what did he call it? It's not an Xbox console. It says the next gen. Xbox Next Gen is not a console, which is weird because Satya Nadella, the person who is greenlighting its production, is telling you that it is a console and exactly how they've made consoles in the past, but they're deciding to make a tweak to their consoles. But again, you got to help me. Peace out.